Welcome back to The Evil Within. This is the cliffhanger right in the middle part of Chapter 4 of the Consequence DLC for Kidman.
Leslie, no. Please don't.
Now, this is the first time we actually see Leslie take part ownership of his own 90%.
It's all right.
He actually took an action in his own best interest, in his own agency there, shooting the tapestry, breaking that final tether. He broke the final tether himself. I mean, the tapestry was on fire and was probably going to go away, but shooting Ruvik instead of Kidman was definitely a decision he made. This puts Kidman in an odd situation, right? She had, at the end of the last chapter, pulled her gun and was chasing Leslie, and the administrator stopped that chase. Now, how much of Leslie understood that he was actually running for his life from Kidman versus he was just running because he was afraid isn't clear, but certainly from Kidman's perspective, he just saved her. So now she owes him, a debt of honor, right? I mean, he saved her life. He can't just kill him right after that. So she's saying, I hope everything's going to be okay. And in a moment, she's going to express what she hopes that is, that Ruvik isn't going to come back, that burning those tapestries, that was the attempt to overcome Leslie, and that the two of them have thwarted that, and that now they can leave Stim together. That doesn't work exactly. We know it's not going to work, right? But a point I want to make about what Ruvik's goal here is, you might say, well, why? He needs Leslie, right? So Kidman can't be allowed to actually kill Leslie, or from Ruvik's perspective, that would be bad, right? Then he wouldn't have a means of getting out of Stim. Leslie is, the one in a million that's going to lock himself into a walled off room inside of his own brain so that Ruvik can actually possess Leslie and leave Stim that way. But at the same time, he's showing Kidman directly that he can control Leslie. That pits Kidman against Leslie in a very real sense. And you heard her, I hope he doesn't come back for your sake, Leslie, right? Now we're about to see the cutscene from the end of chapter 13 in the main game, where Kidman, Joseph, Sebastian, and Leslie are all in the park at the same time.
Leslie can go home? Can take the train all the way home?
No, Leslie. Not today.
You'll protect me?
Yes. That's my job.
Good. When I get home, they'll be surprised.
It's not your fault. I'm sorry.
Stop! You're making a terrible mistake.
You don't understand. You don't know what he'll become.
We know exactly what he'll become. That's why we need him.
You don't understand what Ruvik is after.
Ruvik is a corpse.
He's after Leslie.
And so are we. And you're more afraid of him than us?
Don't patronize me. I have orders, but I can't let him have this boy. Leslie is the only one who can...
Don't do it! Damn it! No!
All right, so that cutscene from her perspective was quite different from Sebastian's perspective. Sebastian he heard a lot of those words, but he didn't realize she was talking to the administrator, right? And so she thought she was talking to the administrator, and then turns out when she turns around, Sebastian's there. Now, notice that she was still trying to justify her actions to the administrator. So she's still feeling the pull to the savior that she allowed to fill the void in her life when she ran away from home. Mobius provided that and provided her a whole new life, and she still has some draw to them in that she's willing to justify her actions instead of just taking the action herself. She's still trying to justify, trying to make sure that they understand that this is not a true betrayal. This is me doing what has to be done, not a direct defiance in her mind. So she hasn't completely taken her 90% back, maybe as far as we would like to say. Her assignment has ended in the sense that she has now made up her mind that she is going to take this action. This cutscene here that's going to be a completely black screen, so I'm going to talk over it. But this cutscene here, she sees Leslie at the far end of the room. In Kurayami mode, we just see blackness, but she's seeing Leslie at the far end of the room, surrounded by Haunted. He makes a hand gesture, and their heads just all pop.
Oh, shit. He's too far gone. I've got to stop him.
That was that beating sound that you just heard, and that's why she says he's too far gone. I've got to stop him now. So, at the end of the last cutscene, the end of the first cutscene where Leslie shot the tapestry of Ruvik. She was hopeful that was the final break in the tie, that she could then get Leslie out. She now is absolutely convinced this was the final straw that breaks the camel's back, saying, nope, I can't get him out. I've got to end this. She still has some ties to the administrator. We're about to see that again. She's in the next room. She's going to talk to the administrator, or she's going to hear the administrator talking to her through monitors again. I wish I had a good answer for you, but there are three manifestations of the administrator. There's when he's there sort of in person, when he's a ghost, like when he's talking to Jimenez, and him on these monitors. And the three have different characteristics, which makes me think that they are manifesting in three different ways. But let's watch this interaction.
Answer our questions. What are you afraid of? What could haunt you so? What could you need that only we could be the ones to fill it? Was your waste of life something you wish to return to? Are you not grateful for what we've done for you? We let you into our circle. We gave you a new life. Why will you turn your back on us? Why will you not stand with us?
That evil laugh. I'll let that play just because I love that laugh. How could you not trust us? Here, let me do my best evil villain laugh.
Get out of the way!
I swear if I ever hear anybody laughing like that, in honest laughing, not just trying to act it out, but laughing that way in real life, that's the person I'm not going to trust. Okay, but my take on these three manifestations of the administrator. I have a good handle on two of them, I think. When he's on the monitors, that's a memory of Kidman. That specific one wasn't necessarily a pure memory of Kidman. However, that's a jumbled, it's her subconscious representation of past conversations that she's had.
The patients are dying when connected to the machine? What are you implying, Jimenez?
After what you did to him, now all of this is just conjecture. But it's as if Ruben's consciousness remains trapped inside STEM, and he's attacking anyone attempting to enter.
This is inexcusable. We need to get around this. We can't have come all this way for nothing.
Ruvik. He was in STEM all along. Well, he's not going to get me.
So, I mean, that just kind of confirms what we've been saying from day one, that Ruben is Ruvik, and it is Ruben's consciousness that is at the center of STEM. But so I believe the monitor representations of the administrator are coming from Kidman and Kidman's subconscious. These ghostly apparitions are coming from actual memories.
But why Leslie? What makes him special?
Leslie was not always like this. He became catatonic after a traumatic experience as a child. His family was murdered in front of him. The data would suggest that brainwave synchronization with Ruben correlates to specific trauma. In this case, Ruben's own loss of family.
This will not do. We need something else at the core. Something more acceptable to a whole range of people.
Now, when he appears like that with Dr. Jimenez, you heard them discussing, I believe that's an actual memory of Jimenez and the administrator talking about Leslie there. Here's a tape from Dr. Jimenez.
They grow impatient with our progress and demand briefings on the development process. At first stressing the results, but now they work off a timeline based on their needs. Typical bureaucrats. I've been pushing Ruben, but he's retreated further, doing his research at home and refusing to come to the lab unless it's directly working on our STEM prototype. I'm feeling uneasy, and no doubt Mobius is looking on us with question.
Now that was entry number 188 that comes just before Jimenez discovers that Ruben has locked the stem to himself. So that's just before he's about to become Ruvik, right? You know, before the evidence of why he needs to become Ruvik from Mobius' perspective happens. So one more cutscene here with Dr. Jimenez and the administrator, another ghostly memory that our spy, Kidman, is able to uncover. Now remember, Jimenez is directly connected to STEM at the moment.
We need someone rational inside STEM. Potentially that person could neutralize Ruben. I mean, Ruvik. With my knowledge of the system, I may be of some...
Absolutely not. We can't afford you complicating this any further. We will prepare one of our own.
Sending someone inexperienced, we can't even be sure they can come back.
Then it will need to be someone expendable.
Expendable. So that's how you see me. And I trusted you.
There's that word expendable used in reference to Kidman. She's heard it used in reference to Joseph and Sebastian, and she's heard it transform into disposable, remove. So expendable has a very deep meaning to her in relation to this quest. She can see the ghostly emanations of past memories of Jimenez and talking to the administrator, as well as Ruben talking to the administrator, and she gets the tapes of Dr. Jimenez. Remember, Jimenez and Ruben, obviously Ruben, are connected to STEM. Ruben is STEM, and Jimenez is now connected to STEM. So this is your spy uncovering the secrets. Remember, she's a spy within the Crimson City Police Department looking for information. That same spy attitude carries into her subconscious here. She's using her light to uncover the truth of matters. And when she sees those ghostly apparitions, those are actual true memories that she is pulling out of the memory through the subconscious connection with Dr. Jimenez, because they're both connected to the same stem at the same time. Now she uncovers the way out of back into where Sebastian first started, into the butcher's room here. The third manifestation of the administrator, the one that we see with the clawed hands, the clawed shadow hands that chase her at the end of chapters, that grab her, those sorts of things, when he's manifesting there. The best explanation I have for that is that that's the terminal access. So somewhere Kidman's body is connected to STEM physically, and the administrator is at a terminal. Mobius is at a terminal, and he is either directly involved or having others underneath him directly influence what's going on inside of STEM. I believe that's when he has some sort of physical form, when he seems to actually be there, that green black ghostly smoke that appears around him and things like that. I think that's the residue of the terminal access. Now, how direct of an access that is, how much of an actual presence he has inside the system, how much of it is him or whoever's at the terminal pushing buttons, pushing drugs into the system, pushing something that's causing her to hear it. But is what's being presented to us actually what's being said versus her interpretation of the communication that she feels like she's getting from the minister? That still remains all fuzzy to me. And the reason it remains all fuzzy will be evident at the end of the game, because at the end of the game,
Sebastian
you
is
would
here?
think that Kidman and the administrator should be, I mean, they should be literally trying to kill each other. That's what happens in the game. But the very last part of the game, the very last cutscenes, imply that the administrator himself doesn't really know that they're at that big of a crossroads in their relationship. And so it gets real fuzzy as to how much of it's direct access through that terminal versus how much of it's her interpretation of that direct access through the terminal. I wish I had a better answer, but that's the answer I have. So that's all I can provide. Now you see that she's seen Sebastian. She's back where Sebastian started the game, right? He went into Beacon Hospital. She was left at the front door as the backup for Sebastian and Joseph. And Sebastian and Joseph went on in. And Sebastian wound up running from the sadist right through those same meat grinder things, but that door wasn't open for him. There was a blocking gate, and he had to go down that chute that she just ran across. And he wound up down in the sewers. Now, the door was open for Kidman, so she could go on through. And here once again, we're gonna shift back to Mobius. Now, see, I can't really believe that the admin would be saying those exact words or laughing in that horrendous evil villain laugh. And so, whatever influence that's trying to be projected to her through the STEM terminal, I believe is manifesting to her subconscious in that way. In other words, I don't think they have the control through the terminal that they think they have. They're still in the make suggestions, subliminal messaging, subliminal suggestions to Kidman, and her own subconscious is tainting their message and making it sound quite evil. And she's clearly in. And how much of that could be an influence from Ruvik, even, right? Because Ruvik, if you're at a terminal to a server, and the server is Ruvik, how much influence is the server having over that communication? Right. In other words, how is he morphing and meddling with that communication? Well, Kidman now has a shotgun, so life gets better. However, you will notice this shotgun, despite that, if you notice, it got shot twice there, right? The haunted shot it at her, and then she immediately yanked it out of his hands and blew his head off with it. That's 2 shots. It doesn't work that way for Kidman ever again. It's 1 shell, 1 shot, and then reload, and it's a breach. She has to pop it open, pull the shell out, put another shell in, and pop it back closed. So you cannot handle multiple targets well that way. My best advice to you there is, when you shoot that lock open, immediately be reloading and use that second shot. Don't try to kill anything with it, just try to hit both of them with it. Try to shoot kind of between them so that they both get hit and knocked back. That gives you a chance to run and get a little distance. With distance, run, hide, take a stand. And really, this should have worked. I should have been able to come up behind him and use the axe. I have an axe, but as soon as I came off of that corner, he turned back around. Shooting in the dark, you can leave the flashlight on, but the flashlight is the push down on the left joystick, and this is Brian's skill level. When Brian gets surprised, like I just got surprised there, I didn't expect him to be that close. I tend to push on the sticks hard. I'm using an 8-bit do controller here, and the sticks are kind of short, and so in my hands, I often push down on the joysticks as well as push them to the left and right when I'm startled. And so pushing down on that left joystick turns the light off. So my startling turns the light off, which only makes the situation 10 times worse than it was. Okay, so if you managed all this, it shouldn't have been too hard. If you get a good shot on those first two and knock them down, you can usually get into a place to hide back in the back part of the room, and then from that point on, deal with them one at a time. This guy that you see that was walking in the top left hand of the corner, he would have also come down there. He's returning to his normal patrolling grounds. There are two haunted up here, and then the next room has two cadavers in it. It's mostly a game of stealth. You have enough ammunition, you can actually shoot them if you want to. I was trying to save the ammunition because it's not going to be in this video, but in the next video there's a section where ammunition becomes an issue, and reloading and having enough ammunition to get through it can be an issue. Okay, so we now know that when Kidman saw Ruvik have enough control to pop the heads of the haunted that were threatening Leslie, that Ruvik is at the point where he no longer needs Kidman or Sebastian to be protecting Leslie. He now has enough control over Leslie, enough of him has been downloaded that he can safely navigate Leslie through, and so he is now directly piloting Leslie, not just trying to direct him, but not trying to pull him towards Beacon, but literally just driving, walking him to Beacon, to the stem cells at Beacon, to the stem pods where Ruvik has downloaded his mind to the remote terminal there, the wireless system. Now you notice here that zombie, that haunted, saw me. He's following me in here, and one of the cadavers is going to grab him. You can't see it, but he's going to grab him, and you see the explosion. You see the blood pop. There's an achievement for having that done, but I think it can only be done. I think you can only get the achievement if you do it in chapter 2. I didn't show you how to do it in chapter 2, but I think it can only be the achievement itself says chapter 2 in the description. So I don't think that would have counted for that. So I didn't pop up the thing, but just to explain what that explosion was, that zombie followed me in, bumped into a cadaver. The cadaver grabbed him and blew himself up. So 2 for the price of 1. But I don't think we get the achievement there. We already had the achievement, and we got it in chapter 2. The achievement says chapter 2, so I'm assuming that's where it came from. Kidman's about to find the room where Sebastian, when he went down that chute that Kidman ran over, he fell down into a pool of blood. Kidman's about to find that same room, so she's now back into the sewers. Her path is now back in sync with Sebastian's at the end of the game. My read on Ruvik's goal for Kidman was originally Leslie was looking to her as a savior, same way he was looking to Sebastian, or maybe not quite as strong. Sebastian was probably the number 1 choice, and Kidman was the backup plan. The only thing I'll say there is make sure you run like that so that you jump at the end so that you're close to that ladder so you can get up before that zombie down there grabs you. And you need to do this whole section smoothly and quickly. Ruvik now has enough control over Leslie that he's piloting him, not just directing him, but piloting him to Beacon. As that's happening, he has set this in Kidman's mind for 2 reasons. One is to put her at odds with the administrator. The second is to put her at odds with Leslie, because the one thing that he can't afford is for Leslie and Kidman to get to STEM together. Okay, thanks for watching. Sorry, this is the end of the chapter. Well, it's the end of the video. We'll end the chapter and then we'll end the game. Next video. Thanks for watching.